Let me get some first. Let me get some first. Hold on. Because it's going to be good. Come on. It's starting to get good, okay? All right. Oh, hi. I'm Chanel, and this is the Chanel Diaries. I'm basically reading to you my life story, hence Chanel Diaries. And it is called Never Lost My Praise. This is my daughter, Charlize, and this is the first time she's um, actually hearing the book. So hope you enjoy it. I will try to post out as much as I can. I'm trying to do it daily, but it is rough right now. So here we go with Never Lost My Praise. As she sat down to her desk, she noticed a memo about a staff meeting in a conference room. Damn, this was the wrong day for this. But she got up anyway and headed to the conference room. Before she could get there, she knew something wasn't right. The smell. Oh my God, the smell. That was it. Wait, what was it? She thought, rotten ham? Cheese? It was horrible. Then the lights went out. When Hillary woke up, she was in the hospital, looking up at a beautiful male nurse who was telling her, "You're okay, Miss Williams. You're at the California hospital, and the doctor will be in to see you soon." 5 to 10 minutes later, which seemed like hours, the doctor came in and gave Hillary the shock of her life. She was indeed pregnant, 6 weeks to be exact. Hillary didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She knew. Sorry. She knew she always wanted children, but really didn't think it was a possibility. So she pretended that her sister's daughter, Darcy, was hers. She'd take her to the park and to the movies and to birthday parties of her friends with kids, and now she could finally bring her own. This was wonderful, a baby. Hillary got home and called everyone, her mom, her sisters, and brother, then all of her friends. Then one of her friends asked her something that threw her for a loop. What did James say when you told him? Oh, crap. She had forgotten all about James. Later that night, Hillary sat in bed with her hands together, twirling her thumbs together around each other, wondering what he was going to think or do. James had mentioned once or twice that she didn't want any kids anymore, that he didn't want any more kids. He already had 4 with 3 different women and still had good relationships with them all. But what if we didn't work out? She thought. Do I want to be another one of his baby mamas? Hell no. But it was way too late for that. Now, she had exactly 2 weeks to figure out how she was going to tell him. Oh, tonight's the night, and James was coming home. Hillary still had no idea what she was going to say. She thought about just spitting it out like, "Hey babe, so glad you're home. I'm pregnant. Let me hang up your coat." Hillary chuckled at the thought and then heard the front door open. Her heart was racing. She was nervous, but she could do this. Then James walked in, their eyes connected, and he smiled, and man did he look good. She always loved a man in uniform. He jumped on top of her and kissed her so passionately she could feel it in her soul. Her toes tingled. But before she got lost in him as she normally did, she says, "James, we have something very important to talk about." Now, what do you think they have to talk about, Shelly?
The pregnancy?
Huh? You think? How you think he gonna handle it? But he don't want any more kids, remember that?
I think it's gonna. Yeah, I think it's gonna just be happy about it.
You gonna be happy about it?
Because I mean, most women think that a lot, but then they be surprised.
What's up, babe? He says while he is still face deep in her neck. "I have some news, James. I'm pregnant." He stopped kissing her and said, "What?" "I said I'm pregnant and I'm keeping the baby." "Of course you are. That's wonderful. Now that's news I like to come home to." And he started kissing her again with what seemed like all his might. The next 7.5 months flew by. They say time flies when you're having fun. Well, James pampered Hillary very well. He got every crazy craving that she wanted, which included this vanilla ice cream and barbecue chips. He massaged her feet, back, and hands, and whatever else she wanted rubbed. He was even there to hold her hand when they thought they were losing the baby.
Woo! Wait, with you?
Yep. 3 weeks before the baby was due, James gave Hillary some troubling news. They were sending him to Alabama for one last assignment. This was BS, she thought. They were supposed to discharge him, but instead sent him out again. This time they promised to discharge him upon return this time. What made this even worse was that it would leave her to have the baby without him. Hillary cried as James held her in his arms as she tried to mentally prepare for the coming weeks. Now, she has to do this by herself. Now, we're at chapter 2. Say hello to my little friend. November 17th, 1974. 8 pounds, 9 ounces, 10 fingers, 10 toes,
Well,
beautiful
obviously, why would you
mocha
have
colored
9
skin.
toes? Oh, wait, no.
Was that a toe joke because I have 9 now? Huh? Because one missing? Was that one of those jokes?
That was an
Yes,
accident.
I have 9 toes. I had a blood disease called MRSA last year and spent 4 months in the hospital. By the time I left, I had 9 toes. Let's continue. Now, once again, 8 pounds, 9 ounces, 10 fingers, 10 toes, and beautiful mocha colored skin, and the most mesmerizing eyes Hillary had ever seen. She was beautiful. Her name was Nova Lee Williams, and boy, was she popular. Besides her family and friends crowding the nursery, the nurses were spreading the news about the most beautiful baby. Hillary felt like $1,000,000. She felt strange, feeling so complete. She spent hours staring at her little angel, brushing her hair, dressing her up in pretty pink dresses with bows and ruffles, and just when Nova Lee was about 3 weeks old, James came home. Hillary was so happy he could finally meet his daughter. James walked in the room and saw Hillary in a gorgeous pink gown holding something small and wide-eyed, dressed in a pink ruffled dress also, while making the most beautiful noise he had ever heard. He sat down next to her and she turned and said, "James, meet your daughter, Nova Lee." As she turned to hand him the baby, James threw his hands up and said, "I don't do that." "What?
Bruh.
What do you mean you don't do that?" "Do what?" she said, irritated and somewhat confused. "I don't hold babies. Well, not this young anyway." "What? Are you telling me that you didn't hold any of your children when they were babies?" "No, I didn't. Not until they were at least 5 or 6 months old," he replied. "That is ridiculous." "Well, you're holding this one," and gently placed Nova Lee in his arms, and instantly James was in love. What Hillary didn't know was that what she did was going to change the way she felt about her relationship with James and her baby. Yeah.
That was a short chapter, Mother.
I didn't say I was stopping right now, daughter. Chapter 3, Mama didn't say there would be days like this. January 1980.
Hey,
Nova Lee, James, and Hillary were sitting at the dinner table eating spaghetti when Nova Lee says, "Mommy, can I have more spaghetti?" Hillary replies, "No, Nova Lee, you've had enough." Then James says, "What is it going to hurt her to have more?" as he picks up her plate and puts more spaghetti on it. Hillary was pissed because he did this crap all the time, and it made her furious. Just a couple of days earlier, James came home and Nova Lee was crying because Hillary had just lit that little butt up for stealing fruit out of the fridge. Nova Lee ran to her father crying, saying, "Daddy, Daddy, Mommy just whooped me." Hillary just knew James was going to say, "Well, what did you do to get the whooping?" But no. He says, "Hillary, what did you whoop her for?" Hillary's jaw hit the floor. And at the same time, she sees Nova Lee smiling while standing behind her father.
That's evil.
Why aren't you asking your daughter what she did, and why don't you turn around and look what she's doing right behind you now? She's smiling at me. James then turned around just in time to see the end of the smirk. James, we're supposed to be a team in raising her. But the way you're doing this, James, we're only going to succeed in raising a monster. And if this is what you have, and if this is what I have to look forward to when this baby comes, I don't know if we're going to make it. When I was pregnant with her, all I thought about was raising a strong, independent woman. No matter what I have this time, James, I want the same for him or her. James interrupted by saying, well, that's impossible. Hillary looks at James so deeply and with so much anger and says, you're definitely making it that way. James, we have 5 months to figure it out. And we have a lot of work to do. And now this. Nova Lee was now shoveling the spaghetti in her mouth like it was running away from her. And not 5 minutes after she finished, did she say, Mommy, I don't feel so... Ooh. Then a volcanic force of reddish pink vomit shot out all over Hillary's tan carpet. Hillary grabbed Nova Lee by the back of her neck and dragged her all the way to the bathroom, while Nova Lee was continuing to leave a trail of vomit from the kitchen, through the living room, into the bathroom. To make matters worse, while Hillary was bending Nova Lee over the toilet so she can make whatever's left in her stomach into the toilet, Hillary glanced over into the living room, and James is still watching TV, while the trail of vomit is right next to him, soaking deeper into the carpet with every second. Hillary was so angry, she just started to cry. When did her life change so dramatically? 1 minute, she and James were so in love, so in sync, and expecting a baby. Now, 99% of the time, she can't stand to look at him. And at this very moment, 4 months pregnant with another child and mentally trying to talk herself out of drowning her 5-year-old in the toilet. Now, Chapter 4, There is Treachery Afoot, June 1980. Hillary had to admit things had been very difficult between her and James. They fought a lot, and lately they were barely speaking to each other. But last night, James promised to try harder to be on the same page when it comes to raising and disciplining their children. She was trying to be optimistic and believe him, but they had been through this before. He would do it for a short period of time, then go right back to his old habits. The strange thing about this whole fighting thing was that all they fought about, the strange thing about the whole fighting thing was that's all they fought about, Nova Lee and money. This time, she was praying it was for real. She needed him now more than ever. Hillary always wanted 3 or 4 children, but the way James was acting, Hillary was quickly changing her mind. These 2 are enough. I'll be damned if I have 3 or 4 little Nova Lees running around, driving me crazy. That's not happening. No, ma'am. When Nova Lee was about 18 months old, Hillary found out that she was pregnant. The timing couldn't have been worse or more wrong. She had not worked since having Nova Lee and just got a new job. She couldn't tell her boss she was pregnant. It was hard enough being a woman to get a good job because of discrimination, and giving her this information would give her boss just cause.
Well,
After discussing it with James, Hillary did something that would haunt her for a long time. She decided to get an abortion. When she got home, she had cried and cried and cried.
what?
And every time she saw a Pampers commercial, she cried and vowed that he would never do it again. A year later, she was pregnant again. This time, it was welcome. She and James were getting along, her job was going great, and most importantly, the timing just seemed right. When Hillary was about 8 weeks, she miscarried. It almost sent her over the edge. She blamed herself, thinking that God was punishing her for having an abortion. Now she wanted another baby more than ever. But now, she was full of guilt. She was too terrified to even think about it or even try. Time went by and things were good, and Hillary found out she was pregnant again, and right before Novalee's 5th birthday too. She discovered a parent's worst nightmare, a game where one of the parents says no, then asks the other. Hillary knew the game and told James how the game was played and how their new question around the house was going to be, what did your mom or dad say? But apparently, James did not understand or didn't want to understand how the game was played. But as usual, Novalee got her way each and every time. And that's when the battle between James and Hillary began again. Hillary thought to herself, why did this happen? Why did this have to happen now? James and Novalee were doing great until Novalee started playing her game.
You're a jerk. You're a jerk. I'm not even like that. Well, that's how you used to be.
This day, they decided it was a perfect time to tell Novalee that she was going to be a big sister. While she was playing with her cousin Darcy, Novalee was in a good mood. So when we told her to sit down, we have some news, we thought she was going to be happy about the news. But right as Hillary and James started to leave the room, they heard Novalee say to Darcy, when the baby is born, I'm going to kill it. Did she just say? Hillary didn't even finish her sentence. She and James were so shocked. They just set her down and tried to figure out where her mind was. Because of Hillary's history of miscarriage, she was considered high risk. So she would... Okay, so
Really crazy.
let's go back. We're going to figure out where her mind is, okay? Before we wrap up, I would like to encourage the people out there that are struggling with pain and is making the conscious effort not to take opiates. I applaud you. I'm doing it myself. I live in level 10 pain every day. And I cope by my family, my daughters, my husband, marijuana. To be honest with you, I was never a fan of it before. And after I was off the Dilaudid, I heard about the weed with the pain medicine. And I started to take it, and it does help. It helps you get through. So today I'm still sick. I still feel horrible. I can barely hold things down. Right now, I do have a Cheeto in my hand, but that's about all I can stomach at the moment. So all of you out there, today was pretty much a laid back day. I didn't really do much because every time I moved, I almost cried. So today was pretty much just sitting around and laughing and joking with my girls. But good night, and I thank you for reading this. Hope you enjoy. Bye.